Am I married? Yes. I've not gone through a marriage ceremony, but I've done other legal things that make me basically married. I'm poly, so that's a little confusing. But there is a woman in my life who I would call my mother-in-law. Or maybe just my mother. I don't know. But she didn't give birth to me. But she likes to watch these streams. Maybe she'll see this and she'll be perplexed as to what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's do some long sustained harmonic meditation. So take a deep breath in. Then we're going to exhale with a tone. Little weak on the end there. Now we'll go into falsetto. No, my mother is not Orthodox. I'm not sure what kind of Jew my mother is. She was raised Orthodox. She was an immigrant. But no, she's not an Orthodox Jew now. So I like to do that warm-up because it gives me a sense of where my vocal tract is at. It actually feels a little bit weak today. I don't have a level of volume that I sometimes have. But that's okay, right? The body changes every day. It changes, and you feel it, and you use it. Did I go to a Jewish day school? I went to Hebrew school when I was a little boy, and I stopped after my bar mitzvah. And it's only in the more recently that I've started studying Judaism again, and I study it in a different way than I did back then. But I was imprinted. With some words. So we can say those words now. They go like this. Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. So this is reciting the Torah. That prayer is called the Shema. Shema means listen, and it's from the book of Deuteronomy. And the book of Deuteronomy continues like this. Ve'ahavta et Anat Elohecha u'v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha havehayu hadvarim ha'ile asher noechi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'vitecha v'lechtecha havaderech uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'ohut al yadecha havehayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtaham al mizot beitecha u'v'hisharecha. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Listen, Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Asherah Echad are one. All these gods are one, like a serpent eating its tail. And the prayer that comes next is also like a serpent that eats its tail. I know this is rather redundant. I say this all the time, but that's the thing. It's about repetition. And the prayer goes, and you shall love Yahweh Eloheinu with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. And these words that I am speaking to you today, that I have spoken to you so many times before, you should teach them. Teach them to your children. And recite them when you are at home and when you are away, and when you wake up and when you lie down. And you shall bind them as a symbol on your hand. There you go, that's why I say it. And you shall let them serve as a sign on your forehead. You shall inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Repeat me. Oh gosh, I need to turn that heater off, or I'm going to overheat. Repeat me. Repeat me, repeat me, repeat me. That's what the prayer says, and that's what I do. Except, cloth airless, it's not actually madness, right? We can understand the dynamics of that pattern quite well. The TikTok algorithm seeks engagement, and you can get engagement from two opposite poles. You can get engagement from people who really like what they are watching. You can also get engagement, often more valuable engagement in terms of advertising revenue, from people who dislike what they are watching. If you can get a very strong emotional response out of a person, it doesn't matter if that emotional response is positive or negative, it keeps them engaged, it keeps them on the platform, and it keeps the platform making money. And and this is the trap that I am in. All right, I'm on this platform. I am seeking attention. I make money when TikTok makes money. And so I actually benefit when people are outraged by me, and when they point out my male patterns, and when they try to make me feel bad for my gender. I make money. And isn't that bizarre? Isn't that so bizarre? And yet here we are, right? That's not actually why I'm here. I'm here because I want to be with all of you, or not all of you. I want to be with those of you who want to be with me. I don't know. I woke up this morning wondering about the choices I've made. Why is it that I want to be a human on the internet like this? Am I willing to pay the price associated with that? I guess I am, because y'all are really lovely, and I feel very lucky that I get to pray with you all. But I'm under no illusions as to what this space is and how it works. Yeah, hurtful people are part of it. V'chaya. Ki v'achaya Elohecha el ha'aretz asher nitzbai levotecha le'avram liskach ul Yaakov. Latet lach avrim litovot. Let's start that again. V'chaya. Ki v'achaya Elohecha el ha'aretz asher nitzbai levotecha le'avram liskach ul Yaakov. Latet lach avrim gedolot v'tovot asher lo vanita. Uvati mili'im kol tuva asher lo mileta. Uverot hatzavim asher lo hasata. Ke'arim bizitim asher lo natata. Ve'alachta ve'shavata. Hishamer lecha pen tishchach et Yahweh asher tishacha mi'aretz Mitzrayim mibet avadim. I view that as a prayer about suffering, really. A prayer that reminds us that all of the good things in our lives came because we or someone else suffered. Right? When Yahweh Eloheinu brings you into the land that he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to assign to you, great and flourishing cities that you did not build, houses full of all good things that you did not fill, hewn cisterns that you did not hew, vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant, and you eat your fill. Take heed that you do not forget Yahweh, who freed you from the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. And he could just as easily return you. Could just as easily return you to the house of bondage. Yes, isn't it interesting how many people feel entitled to ask me about my genitals? Also, there are plenty of other surgeries that I might or might not get. I will probably get facial surgery at some point. I'm probably not going to get other surgeries that aren't on my face. And I feel fairly comfortable sharing that with you all, but like, geez, the entitlement. Remember that we live on stolen land, that you were once suffering, that Yahweh could make you suffer again. I think that FFS is actually more important than bottom surgery. But of course, that's just me. But like, that's because I care about passing, and I like my sex life quite a bit the way it is. And like, getting bottom surgery isn't going to help me pass any better. Getting FFS would. So, you know, it's different for everyone. So it goes. Yeah, I know that it usually, when people ask about surgeries, they're usually coming from a place of ignorance. They're not trying to hurt. And part of that ignorance entails not actually reversing the question and being like, what would happen if someone came up to me and asked me about my penis? How would I feel? So it goes, right? Like, I wouldn't be trans on the internet if I didn't expect to receive that question. I'm used to it. Studio, you can just guess. My preferred pronouns are what you assume. Actually, that's not true. You might assume something I don't prefer, but my preferred way of being is to not be asked that question. Anyway, I came upon a wedding that old families had contrived, with Bethlehem the bridegroom and Babylon the bride. Oh, great Babylon was trembling, and she stood there naked with me. And Bethlehem inflamed us both like the shy one at some orgy. And when we fell together, all our flesh was like a veil that we had to draw aside to see the serpent eat its tail. Oh. Some women wait for Jesus, and some we wait for Cain. So I'll hang upon this altar, and I'll hoist my axe again. And I'll take the one who finds me back to where it all began, back when Jesus was the honeymoon, and Cain was just a man. So we'll read from pleasant Bibles that are bound in blood and skin, that Asherah is gathering all her children back again. Asherah. There are some stories about Asherah, maybe not Asherah herself, but other goddess figures in her position, Kali per se. The Divine Mother is a cannibal, right? She gives birth to her children and then she consumes them. That's part of the myth, right? Asherah is not any less terrible or gruesome than Yahweh. Her relationship to life and death, right, is not so tied up in kingship and power, but she is nonetheless deadly. And she gives birth. Right, so that song, the little pieces of lyrics, when I read them, when I sing them, I think about how the destruction of a city was also its birth, or the birth of a people, right? And the good comes with the bad, and life comes with death. I'm a very old soul. And Darlaj, what do you think a soul is? And where is mine? And why is it old? Where did it come from? I know you're just using a turn of phrase, but like, it's an interesting turn of phrase. And no, I don't have a favorite color. I try to be consistent with my color pattern. Like, to be honest, I wish that these leggings were a little bit more green. I like matching, but this will do. Baruch atah Yahweh, Eloheinu melech haolam, shelo ashani isha. I repeat the name of Yahweh Eloheinu, who did not make me a woman. I did. Baruch atah Asherah, anat melecha haolam, asher yitzaret ha'adam bechachama uvera ve'or. I repeat the name of Ashtra Anat, who made me with many openings and cavities. Anat. I never ever talk about Anat on this stream, even though I say her name frequently. In my mind, Anat and Katesh are sort of interchangeable. I talk about Katesh more often. I made a video about Katesh yesterday that so far no one has seen because it's not clickbaity enough or something, even though it has me in underwear, so who knows. But Anat, Katesh, other goddesses of sex and death, right? They make me with many openings and cavities, or so the metaphor goes. Yeah, so that's not Sanskrit, Abhi. That's Hebrew. We're going to shift into Sanskrit right now. Right now. Where did I begin my spiritual journey? In my mother's womb. Good morning, Cheyenne. Kajananam Bhudaganati Sevitam Kapita Shambhupala Sarabhakshetam Ummasutam Sukavina Sakarnam Mahamatim Divya Mayuravahanam Rudasyasrinam Sarasarinanatam Guham Saranam Saranam Prapadye Yaku Hendutu Saraharadevala Yasuprapasvarita Yavina Varandamandita Yasveta Padmasana Ya Brahmachuta Sankara Pratrapite Vasata Pujita Samampatu Saraswati Bhagavati Nihesa Jadyapa Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nisparanchaya Santaya Shishivanandaya Te Namaha Shri Vishnu Devanandaya Te Namaha Om Sarva Mangla Manglaye Shive Savarta Sadike Sarnye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Om These words, Rachel, these ones. That's why I say them so frequently, because they make me feel good. Those words are in Sanskrit. So I start the live stream in Hebrew, then we shift into Sanskrit, then we do a little bit of English, then more Sanskrit, then Hebrew at the end. That's, Hebrew is more guttural, has more ch, kadosh, kadosh, kadosh. Yeah. Sanskrit is Indo-European, Hebrew is Semitic, so Sanskrit actually sounds a little bit more like English than Hebrew does, I think. Although that's, I don't know, that's a matter of opinion, really. There's no objective measure. Usually it's late, and that's why you think it's Sanskrit. Yeah. My rice is ready. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandim pushche vardhanam Orva rukami bhavandanan mrityar mukshiyam amritato Trayambakam yajamahe sugandim pushche vardhanam Orva rukami bhavandanan mrityar mukshiyam amritato Sarvesham swastir bhavatu sarvesham shantir bhavatu sarvesham purnam bhavatu sarvesham mangalam bhavatu sarve bhavantu sukhina sarve santu niramaya sarve bhadrani pashantu makashit tukabhagbhave asatoma sagyamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma mritam gamaya om purnamadam purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnamevavashishate om shanti 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 Om, peace, peace, peace. Om, that outer world is full, this inner world is also full. From fullness comes fullness, taking fullness from fullness. Fullness remains. Om, peace, peace, peace. Serpents eat their tails. Fullness comes from fullness. Yes, I'm hungry. It's past noon and I haven't eaten yet all day. So, we'll have breakfast soon. But we have a few more prayers first. We've got one prayer in English, one prayer in Sanskrit, and then one prayer in Hebrew. I will enjoy my rice. So, the English prayer is called I Don't Want to Pray. It's by Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. and it's about prayer and the paradoxes associated with that. Then the Sanskrit prayer is called Arati. Arati means flame or light in Sanskrit. And then the final prayer is called Kaddish. Kaddish means holy in Hebrew. And it's named for a goddess, Katesh, that I just this morning published a video about. And I encourage you to go watch it. It's noon where I live. It's time for lunch. Time for lunch. So, we'll say some prayers, and then we'll have lunch. You have a question? Well, ask your question, Ivory. I will answer it, if it's a good one. There are bad questions, did you know? Some teachers say there are no bad questions. There are bad questions. I've seen very terrible questions. If spirituality was something blocked from me, that's not a question, that's an if statement. What do you mean? If spirituality was blocked from me, then what? Where can we begin to self-respect and look into more deeply? My answer to that question is to look at history, right? Because, I mean, how old is the word spirituality? It's an English word, so it can't be older than 600 years or so, right? And the concept of spirituality is a very modern concept. What you think you are missing is a modern idea. It simply did not exist 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 10,000 years ago, right? So I looked around and I noticed that most modern forms of religion I didn't care for, even as I found them very anthropologically interesting. And even as I continue to engage in them, there's much in the dogma of any tradition that I have to reject. I must. And that's alienating, right? It makes me feel very lonely because there's no tradition, there's no body of work, there's no culture, there's no group of people that I can simply join and say, yes, this is where I belong. Right? I can't do that. So for me, what I have had to do is try to connect back to my roots, right? We're at the tips of the branches of the tree, and I try to go all the way down to the root, back for where we all began, right? 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, there was no religion, right? And the traditions and rituals that people practiced all over the world were far more similar than they are different. So somewhere along that line, I'm just going to continue to make you anxious, my friend. Somewhere along that line, right, if I go through the phylogenetic tree of religious practice, somewhere in there I can find something that I can connect with, even if I have to reinterpret it into modern context, you know? Right, like Ashura here. Why did I make a figurine? Why did I make this statue? The books of my tradition say that this is literally blasphemous. This is idolatry, right? This is punishable by death in some traditions at some time in history, and yet I did it because I wanted to connect to her. But of course I can't, because I have no idea what she was like. I have no idea what the traditions about Ashura were actually like. I can't know, right? And I wouldn't have understood them. And if I were to go be transported back 3,000 years and witnessed a ceremony that was dedicated to Ashura, I probably wouldn't like it. It would probably be awfully foreign. But here I am. It's 2021. I'm on the internet and I have access to more information about more cultural traditions and more religious ideas than anyone has ever had. And somehow I have to find meaning in all that. Somehow. So, we can sing ironic songs about not wanting to pray. The song goes like this. I don't want to pray to my maker, no, I just want to be what I see. Not just who I am, but the pink in golden land, and that wide, wild sky over me. Help me to the sun, hey, I'm looking everywhere. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray, and it's not much good to talk, better to walk it. Ooh, not much good to take, better to give. We are done, forgiven, and forgotten of our sins, and I promise you, my friends, all that dies will live again. So, pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer, and I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray. I love Allah, Allah made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asherah made good, and Anat made bad. Elohim made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah. God made, God made, God made. But I don't want to pray to my maker, no. I just want to be feeling free. Not like in a book or the leaves of trees that shook from a word that means only not a thing. No, 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 no. Pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer. And I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. Pray. I love Allah, Allah made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asherah made good, and Anat made bad. Elohim made love, and Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah. God made, God made, God made me. Except that's a lie. Isaiah Martin. None of those gods exist except as social constructs, stories, narratives that we tell one another in order to create meaning in our lives, right? God exists, Jesus exists, in the same way that gender exists, or money exists, right? They are stories that we have created in order to enable ourselves to live together in this world. And in reality, the ones that do the making are ourselves, each other. I make me. Every day I make myself, sculpt myself into this image for you, and you help me by being here, by telling me all sorts of wonderful and hateful things about myself, right? That influences who I am. And in turn I influence you. We create one another. And here we are. So, now we'll say Arati. Arati means flame in Sanskrit. This is for you, Abhi. I want to make you nervous. No, like it's a very tiny flame. It's like a birthday candle. Like it's nothing. You could just eat it. I don't know how to eat fire. My friends do. In any case, this prayer is dedicated to flame, right? To the energy sources that keep us alive, that burn within us, that make our metabolism work. And they're light, right? Flame and light. The word arati means flame and light in the Sanskrit language. And we associate the word arati with all of these names of the divine. Venugopala, Hanumanta, right? We will say all of these words. We'll say Ganesh. Here's Ganesh. Here's Ganesh. What a nice little elephant man. Sacrificed on the altar. So, we'll say these various names of God, and that will remind us that God is actually one. That all the names are the same name. They all refer to the same underlying thing which cannot be named, and which we are all a part of. Always already. Have always been and always will be. Jaya Jayarati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jayaratiya Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jayaratiya Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Vanita Chora Jaya Jayarati Venkantaramana Venkantaramana Sankatarana Sitarama Radhe Shama Jaya Jayarati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sadashiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jayarati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jayarati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jayaratiya Dattatreya Dattatreya Trimutriyavatara Jaya Jayaratiya Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskareya Jaya Jayarati Sanistaraya Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jayarati Sankarachaya Sankarachaya Advaita Gravi Jaya Jayaratiya Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jayarati Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Jaya Jayarati Agastya Munaye Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye Jaya Jayarati Ayapa Swamine Ayapa Swamine Dharma Shastave Jaya Jayarati Jesus Gurave Moses Gurave Buddha Gurave Jaya Jayarati Muhammad Gurave Guru Nanak Gurave Samastya Gurubho Namaha Jaya Jayarati Venugopala. Natatrasuyobati Natandrakaratam Nimavidyobati Kutoy Magni Twameva Bantamanavanti Sarvam Tasya Basya Sarmidam Vivanti Om Yange Kayamune Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Siddhi Kaveri Ha ha ha. Flat. Ha ha ha. There we go. Samastitam Namo Namaha. Twameva Mata Chapita Twameva Twameva Bandusha Saka Twameva Twameva Vidya Javinam Twameva Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Kayena Vacha Manasendriyarva Budyat Manava Prakrite Sabhavad Karomi Adyad Mangalam Parasmahi Narayana Hiti Sarmar Payami Sarvadharmam Pravichaya Mimikam Sarvanambraja Aham Sva Sarva Papayo Mokshayami Masucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these, I dedicate to you, to all of you. Thank you all so much for being here with me today. It means a great deal. I woke up this morning thinking about how I would spend this time with you. It took me a long time to get here, but here I am, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. The language is Sanskrit, and the word that you heard over and over again was arati, which means flame. Ivory, we've got one more prayer before rice. And it's a prayer of mourning. Prayer of mourning. Prayer that has had many meanings over many thousands of years. But is it a rice prayer? No. Mourning, yes. Mourning like grief. Mourning like grief. There was a goddess who was worshipped 3,500 years ago. Her name was Ketesh. Still is Ketesh. She looked like this. Still looks like this. This is the stele of Ketesh. Notice that she rides a lion and she holds snake and she arouses the gods to her left and right. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about her, then I just posted a video today. You were so meant to watch today. I just posted a video about Kiddush. It's not much. It's just a minute long. It took me all day yesterday to make. And it goes over the etymology of the word. How the name of a goddess morphed as Judaism evolved to mean holy. But there are also some hangers-on in the history of the language, right? So, Kedisha means prostitute in the Torah. And I just think that's so interesting, right? As to why it has taken on that meaning, I can't say, right? Scholars argue about it. Maybe it was just because the writers of the later books of the Torah wanted to disparage this goddess. Maybe they were actually holy consorts in the temples that were engaging in something that resembles prostitution, sacred prostitution, perhaps. It's debated. We don't know. But nonetheless, over the centuries, the word Ketesh evolved from referring to a goddess to referring to holiness itself, and then eventually settled on the names of specific Hebrew prayers, right? So we've got Kiddush, which is the Sabbath prayer that I will be saying this evening after I cook Shabbat dinner for my community. And then there's Kedusha, which is part of the liturgy. Kedusha, right? And then there's Kaddish. Kaddish means holy. But the most common Kaddish that we say is the mourner's Kaddish. And so now we will say a prayer of mourning. I started saying the mourner's Kaddish at the start of the pandemic. It was a way of marking how many people were dying in this country. As the pandemic has gone on, I stopped counting, but I still say Kaddish every day to remember those who have gone before us. So now is a time for a little bit of participation in the stream. If there's anyone that you are mourning, anyone that you are grieving, anything that you're trying to let go of, it's very difficult to let go of. You're having a really hard time of it. Anything you're trying to let go of, you can explain in the chat, put their name, some sort of description, and I know yours, Abby. Yes, I do. Yeah. Yeah, we can say Kaddish for your grandfather. It's a week of grandfathers dying. My partner's grandfather died 2 weeks ago. It's the time. So we can say Kaddish for all those we have lost, all those we are grieving, all those that we wish to let go. And for the last 2,500 years at least, 3,500 years perhaps, my ancestors have been saying the following words in response to death. Yidgadal vidgadash shemei rabba, b'yama divrach yirte v'yamlich malkute, b'chayachonu v'yamechonu chayede kol beit Yisrael, b'agalau b'zman karif yimru, amin. Yehei shalamai rabba amin shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'yimru, amin. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'yimru, amin. Osei shalom b'mramav, Yaseh shalom aleinu v'ale chol Yisrael v'imru amen. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm truly thankful. Now we can blow out the prayer light. Take off the shawl. And have a bite to eat. It's lunchtime. Lunchtime. There we are. There's the Ouroboros. Picture within a picture. Here's my cat. Here you go. Look at this lovely creature. She's been sleeping with me for a long time. Here you go. Oh, you're happy. Happy kitty. Now I'm gonna bother you and you're gonna go. Alright.